Hey, so I'm sitting here with Gabriel Macias from Mosio, and hey, Gabe, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. You sound like you've got a lot of energy.
Yeah, I do.
Do you?
I'm storing it for later on in this conversation.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, you're gonna like crescendo
Yeah, exactly.
all the way to the top.
Well, while we're recording this, why don't I give you kind of a run through of what I am telling libraries right now?
I think that's perfect.
Okay, great. So what I'm telling libraries is that there's a little bit of a switch in the mentality of what it is that we're paying attention to when it regards how it is that we present the best practices on getting usage.
Right.
So if you think one of the things that we've come to realize, if you think of the very nature of a cell phone
Mm-hmm.
and the way that our culture uses it, uh, in your cell phone, the cell phone essentially serves as your database of your contacts, right? So no one has to
Absolutely.
remember any numbers anymore.
Yeah, like I think I remember 5.
I'm the
Yeah.
same way.
Yeah.
I have perhaps 150, 200 numbers in my phone. I think maybe 3 I know off the top of my head.
Right.
So if you think about the way we use cell phones, if the number's not in your phone, that's simply not someone you communicate with. That transitions to texting as well. If I want to send a text to someone, it's based on me having their contact information on my phone. Otherwise, I'm not going to text them because clearly I've shown no evidence in wanting to do that. Otherwise, I'd have their number on my
Right.
phone.
You know, what's funny is even I'm gonna admit something here, but even when my wife and I are watching American Idol, if I want to vote,
Yep.
you cannot vote right then. So even when it says text this to vote for that person, like, but you have to wait till the end of the show.
Uh-huh.
I can't. I have to literally type them as a contact in my phone to be able to do it later. And
Exactly.
that's a direct call to action right there. So
Exactly. So if you put that into terms, if you relate that to helping libraries get more of their community to participate in a texting campaign, the real goal should not necessarily be about marketing the solution. Instead, it should be about registering patrons' phones, which essentially means if you want the patron to text you, that means your contact information's got to be on their phone.
right.
Because ultimately, if you're trying to reach patrons that are out in the world, out on the go, they don't have your marketing materials in front of you. Whether you're at a public library, an academic institution, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
So a few years back, as you start to relate that, a few years back, we started to see a few academic libraries have a lot of success with getting patrons to text in. And so when we started asking them what it was that they were doing, they very bluntly said, well, as part of orientation, what we do is we force all students to pull out their phones and text our keyword to their number. And so that led us down this road of thinking, well, duh, that's the way all libraries should be focusing on their outreach efforts. So that very small change in focus from how do we market this solution to how do we get more patrons to register their phones is a very tangible way that a library can change what their efforts are and what their goals are when it comes to rolling out and implementing a solution like this.
Right. Absolutely. And with the text for instructions feature, the texting the keyword to our short code already gets them in the motion of participating and interacting with with their text librarian microboard. So that makes perfect sense. They get the response. It encourages them once again to save it in their phone.
Yep.
And then it's there later. So when they're out in the world, they're having breakfast, they're having lunch with someone that says you need to get this book, they can text it in.
Yep, exactly.
Gotcha.
And it also presents the patron with a different experience. You know, if you put yourself in the position of a patron who, let's say, walks into the library, looks at a poster, or is talking to a librarian, and the librarian says, "Hey, check out this new service." The patron goes, "Oh, that's really cool. I can't wait to text you." If the patron walks away and they don't text anything or put anything in their phone, you've essentially lost that opportunity to give that patron the information as to how to text you when they're out in the world 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, whenever it is. So it then becomes very easy for the library to just focus, well, when we're having an interaction with that patron, all I have to do is get them to pull out their phones and text the keyword to the number.
Right.
So that makes it really easy for everyone on staff to always know this is the only thing I have to focus on, is getting them to pull out their phones and text the keyword to the number. We think that the more libraries that do that, the better results they're going to get, because they've got ultimately more patrons running around with the information on how to text them on their phones.
Very true, and I think also from the not just in the staff point. I mean, if the staff knowing it is great, but that intention behind the promotional materials on the website, anything that's printed out, table tents, things like that, with that goal in mind, everything else is set to a call to action right now, to text in, get it, and save it. That makes perfect sense. So obviously the general reaction that you get is positive.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that the more libraries I talk to about this, there is kind of this aha moment where they realize that, oh, okay, so all of those conversations that I'm having with patrons, where they're clearly showing excitement about this texting thing, that then doesn't translate into any usage down the road, could simply be changed and remedied by, in that moment, asking them to pull out their phones and text in the keyword to the number. Now, in different scenarios, obviously, you're going to have to use different tactics, but imagine a private academic institution. You've got 4,000 students, they're on campus, they're a captive audience. So there's the step between, hey, here's how to text in, and pull out your phones, I know you have them, text this keyword to this number, is not that far.
Right.
And so if you're going through a library orientation process anyway, and you can register a quarter of your students, because let's say you've got freshmen and what have you, now all of a sudden you've got a quarter of your entire student population with access to you right from their phone without having to remember any numbers or any information.
Right, that makes perfect sense. And then also for alerts and announcements that are being launched, the same action works. The same call to action works because the instructions are on how to sign up for the alerts and announcements post keyword too.
Absolutely, the keywords are the same type of functionality there too.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for explaining that to me. If we got a good record here, then we'll just go ahead and push this live.
That sounds great.
All right, man.
Talk to you soon.